Hi, everyone. My name's Kaylin, and I work for MK Partners as their event and volunteer coordinator. I'm here today to talk to you about the 5th annual TrailheaDX being virtual for the first time. For those of you who don't know what TrailheaDX is, let me lay it out for you. TrailheaDX is one of Salesforce's largest events of the year, and it's geared towards admins, devs, and architects. They have a bunch of breakout sessions, demos, talks from executives, big announcements, a Q&A session, networking opportunities, and then they usually end the day with a fireside chat with a special guest. So this is usually a 2-day in-person event and takes place in San Francisco. Roughly about 10,000 people attend it in person. So now that you know a little bit about it, let me dive into reviewing about what happened this year virtually. So this year, they started out with a pre-show with an exclusive performance by the one and only Jennifer Hudson. Obviously, she was amazing, and personally, she sang one of my favorite songs. She only performed for about 15 minutes, and after that, we jumped right into the keynote speaker. The keynote speaker and presentation was about an hour and 15 minutes long with Sarah Franklin as their speaker / host for the event. I will say once about 9,000 people joined in to watch, there was a lag time and the audio would freeze. So this would actually occur every few minutes during the keynote presentation, and we would constantly have to refresh the page and do this every few minutes. Additionally, anytime you refreshed, it would take you back into the login screen and then redirect you to the video. Sometimes this was very smooth, and other times it actually made me log in again. So I know I wasn't the only one, as everybody in the chat kept saying that they were having similar issues. But I did notice once it decreased down to the 8,000s, then it went back to normal. However, I will say I feel like I missed out on a lot of content due to this repetitive issue, especially if the presentation is an hour and 15 minutes long. So this year, there were about 80 sessions. I attended a few sessions, such as Resume of the Future and Ask the Experts How to Be Successful in App Exchange. I liked it because I could come and go from each session with ease. If I wasn't learning something for a session or already understood what they were talking about, I could easily switch over. Whereas in person, this can actually be disrespectful and disruptive. So I really enjoyed that. And also, for the most part, the speakers stayed on time. And I feel like that can be really hard to do if there isn't somebody timing you in person. So I really appreciated that. I also preferred the sessions that tended to have a panel discussion, because they were just much more informative and there was a lot more discussion going on. And so I felt like I was learning a bit more. And then also I enjoyed the sessions where the hosts were more professional and a lot clearer in their delivery. I did notice a few hosts, because it was virtual and they were in their home, they were much more relaxed and at ease. And I felt like sometimes they could be hard to hear or hard to understand. So I definitely appreciate the hosts who actually took this event as a professional event. I will say the plus side to attending this event in person is that you can actually attend more sessions because it is 2-day long. And as somebody like me who kept going back and forth between some sessions, that can be much easier if you have 2 days to attend it. So in regards to sponsorship, I felt like the sponsors kind of got shortchanged. So on the main page, when you would scroll down to the bottom, that is where all the sponsors were listed. Additionally, I did notice some of the sponsors were featured in the demos, or they actually did some of the demos. But Salesforce, in between sessions, would host like a commercial break, and it was all pretty much geared towards Salesforce. So I feel like Salesforce could have actually given some of their sponsors the ability to do a commercial break. So if the event ends up being virtual next year, that is something I would recommend Salesforce to do. In regards to networking, I will say there was not a lot of networking opportunities, which is very disappointing, seeing that one of the points of this event is to connect with other people in the Salesforce community. There wasn't a room or a session set aside just for that. There was a chat attached to each video off to the side, and a lot of the people attending the event would share their contact information, whether it be their LinkedIn page, a website link, and unfortunately, those posts kept getting removed. So I feel like if part of TrailheaDX's point is to connect Salesforce community in the ecosystem, then they should really give employees and partners and anyone else who's joining in the ability to do so. And so I feel like next year, if it's to be virtual, they could also improve on that. So this year, the fireside chat was hosted with Trevor Noah. He had an excellent conversation about racial injustice, not only in the United States, but in his home country of South Africa as well. It was very educational and did a great job at explaining the root causes and effects of systematic racism with a mix of clear analogies and personal stories. For me, honestly, it was the highlight of the event. I will say I wish it was longer and that they would have been sitting by a fireside, at least, or by a fireplace. Overall, TrailheaDX had a few pros and cons in my opinion. My favorite part was the fireside chat with Trevor Noah and the mindfulness session. I did think it was cool that they added a badge for the event and that you had to attend the demo and the Q&A session in order to earn that. I definitely think it made it much more interactive. Additionally, I like the sessions being online for the most part. However, it definitely wasn't as engaging and I got distracted with a lot of work responsibilities, but I definitely feel like I learned a lot in such a short amount of time. Also, I'm glad the Q&A session was towards the end of the event so that people could have asked a lot of questions earlier on in all of the sessions, and any other answers remaining were able to be addressed towards the end of it. I do wish for the future, if this is to become virtual next year as well, that users could have the ability to disable the chat because it did get distracting while you were watching these videos. Or if the people at Salesforce allowed the chat to be used for networking opportunities and or, as I mentioned earlier, have a separate session or chat or a room so that people can network. Also, I wish they would have had scheduled a session for lunch because all of those 80 sessions were back to back. So it was 6 hours of just straight information and content to take in. I will say that the information that was presented did live up to my expectations. Like I said, I just think in person, it's probably a lot more engaging, but obviously, they can't help that during COVID times. Overall, I would say it was good. It was a good event for those seeking knowledge and information and are really integrated into the Salesforce world. I mean, obviously, this is an event geared towards devs, admins, and architects. So this is definitely a very informative event, and they definitely delivered that. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Please make sure to subscribe and follow MK Partners on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Additionally, I have a weekly blog post on Medium that talks about the best of Salesforce events for the upcoming week. So make sure to follow me on there. And as always, we will see you in the cloud.